Hi Gilmores! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kate Evangelista here, ready to step into Stars Hollow once again and discuss a new episode with all of you. So today, we will be looking into episode 3 of season 1, which is entitled Kill Me Now. Okay, so these episode titles are really, but as I was saying in my previous video, which I will link down below for episode 2, these episodes that we will be tackling, these beginning episodes of the show, are actually more of character building. They're a bit slower, but they lay a great groundwork for future episodes. And I think the engine of the show really does start to pick up from episode 7 onwards. I know, I get it. For me, I need to have a show where it takes me about 3 episodes. If a show cannot deliver within 3 episodes, I'm gone. But the thing is, I love the Gilmore Girls so much that I didn't even mind the slower episodes because it really allowed me to get into the town of Stars Hollow, to understand the characters more, and to appreciate the storyline that the writers are trying to show in a story arc. Because there are a lot of story arcs within each season, and here we're really building towards the relationship of Lorelai, Rory, and with her grandparents, and Lorelai going back into her parents' life. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single episode. I post these episodes for the Gilmore Girls reaction videos Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, so let's get into this. Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
And after Sophia, we had Anton.
That's right. Anton was the one that I liked.
I'm sorry, Dad, how do you mix up Anton and Sophia?
What do you mean?
Well, one is a man and one is a woman.
And your point being?
Okay, so this is a typical interaction between Rory and her father, where it's a great foundation that they're building here, because as the episode progresses, we will see what actually happens to Lorelai when Rory begins to become closer with her grandfather, i.e. her father. And this is so funny because it also establishes one of the facts of the show, that is Emily cannot keep a maid. Okay? Every episode, she has a new maid. And it even becomes a big deal when one of her maids decides to sue her for wrongful termination. I think that's in season 4, and that episode is hilarious because Lorelai will have to give a deposition, and knowing her relationship with Emily, it does not go well. I promise. When we get there, I can't wait for you to see that episode. But yes, so here, by the way, this dining table for the first season is short, but you will notice that in other episodes the dining table is longer. I believe it's a magic dining table. It changes, it evolves to fit the scene that they are discussing or that they are showing. Because there is one episode where Emily and Richard are at odds with each other. So there's this great shot where they're in opposite sides of this really long dining table and they're not really speaking. So that's so beautiful to see that scene. But here, plus it's, as you notice, it's more intimate. They're still doing the candlelit scene. When we have future Friday night dinners, it's going to be much brighter than this. I don't know what they were thinking with the lighting on this scene, but yeah, it could have been better. So actually for this, they discuss Rory needing a sport. So let's move forward. Okay, here. All right. So let's see if I was able to. Okay.
Oh?
Yeah.
Well, your grandfather is a golf player.
Oops.
He plays every week at the club. He could teach you to play like a pro.
Emily,
Why, he could take you there on Sunday. It's perfect.
it's not something you can teach in an afternoon.
Okay, so this is the engine of this episode. The Rory goes golfing with her grandfather at the club. And as you notice, Emily, the way Emily's brain works is she's really quick to pick up things, and she's really she knows what to do right away, which is how to trap Rory and Lorelai further into their lives, because like I mentioned in my previous episode, she really wants to be a part of their life, which is why any way that she can insert them in each other's lives, she would take. So this is one example of that, where she actually forces Richard to teach Rory to golf. And if you notice, Richard in the very beginning is standoffish. He's like, no, you can't just teach that in one afternoon. And really, he's not really into it, if you notice. And that is actually something that you will see in terms of his relationship with Lorelai. There are moments where his relationship with Lorelai is quite sweet, but there are also moments where it's like that. It's standoffish, where it's almost like he doesn't know how to be a father to Lorelai. But the moment he becomes the moment he gets into the groove of becoming a grandfather to Rory, it's like he knows what he's doing. He was born to be a grandfather, but as a father, he has his mistakes. And that is like the crux of this episode, because Lorelai, there's a point where I will show you where she's like, I wish that could be me. And it's quite bittersweet, but at the same time, I understand where she's coming from here. And you'll see in as we move forward. So here, Lorelai is trying to get Rory out of that sticky situation where she has to go golfing, even if for Rory, since she's such a nice kid, it's like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. I mean, golfing, all right, I have to choose a sport anyway, so might as well, choose and get to hang out with my grandfather. And that's one thing that Lorelai does not want, which is why they had this big discussion.
I'm there. So let me get this straight. There's no way that Rory could possibly enjoy a weekend day with her grandfather.
Oh, you're just going to twist it all around, aren't you?
And you know your daughter so well that you don't even have to ask her opinion on this.
All right, so here's the thing about this scene between Emily and Lorelai, is that Emily makes a point here that Lorelai cannot back out of, which is they are more similar than Lorelai would love to admit, which is that in here, Lorelai gets really defensive about Rory going golfing with her grandfather. And she's trying to do everything in her power to convince Emily that Rory, her only time to rest is on the weekends, and she has a lot of work in school during the week. And then her mother susses out the fact that the weekend is really her time with Rory, and the fact that Rory is going to go golfing is going to eat into that time with Lorelai. And so Emily does something to Lorelai that Lorelai wasn't expecting, which is accuse her of being controlling, because this entire time Lorelai has been accusing Emily of being controlling. So that kind of shocks Lorelai into like, fine, okay, fine. If she wants to go golfing with her grandfather, then she can go golfing. It's just that thing where I am not gonna admit that I'm controlling my daughter's life here, so might as well. Okay, I will act like the cool mom and allow her to go golfing with her grandfather. Which is, this is another one of those times when you see Lorelai backed into a corner by Emily, because Emily is a master manipulator. She's been doing this since she was a teenager, and Lorelai she gets sucked into that web, and when she gets stuck there, that's it. Emily, clamps her claws into her, and so it's game over. So there are only a very few moments where Lorelai actually wins these battles. It's mostly Emily who wins these battles, which is so much fun to watch when you really get into the episode, which is why I really highly suggest that you go and watch these episodes, because there is so much to unpack that my videos here might not even get to. And I would love to discuss these interactions with you down below, so just let me know. So she agrees. Oh, okay. I love this. Okay. There is a wedding at the inn. So this is one of the first times we get to see the inn decked out for a wedding. We will actually see this often. There are many weddings happen at this inn, and Suki's wedding actually happens at this inn, which is why it's so wonderful to get to see the the Independence Inn and the grounds, and again, Lorelai being manager mode, and I think this is her highest Pokemon form, if you actually think about it that way. Her manager mode is where she's the best at.
Their father spoiled them.
Oh, they're just excited.
They're spoiled. And they won't move away. Now, disaster list. What if it rains?
We'll put up tents.
What if it's too windy?
Well, then we'll secure everything and put extra hairspray in everybody's hair.
Too hot?
We'll use umbrellas and fans that won't cause any damage because of the things that have been secured and the hair that has been sprayed.
So, I have nothing to worry about.
Nope.
Oh, there must be something.
Listen, I have everything under control. Why don't you go up to your room and have a fabulous bubble bath, and I'll send up some wine and a masseuse who bears a remarkable resemblance to Antonio Banderas.
How remarkable.
Get ready to applaud.
I love this. Okay. This magical masseuse that looks like Antonio Banderas, actually, you never see him, but he gets mentioned a couple more times in the series. And apparently, he gets sent up to Miss Patty as well during Suki's wedding. Yeah, or during the Brace Bridge dinner. Okay, I think that's the time where he makes another appearance, although you never see this magical masseuse that looks remarkably like Antonio Banderas. But yeah, if like you notice, we see once again Lorelai being magic manager mode. She is a problem solver. She is able to make her guests happy, and that's why I believe that the Independence Inn is actually always full to capacity because of Lorelai and the way that she serves them. Unfortunately, like I've mentioned before, this manager mode of Lorelai does not always translate to other parts of her life. It's so sad, really. I wonder if she used manager mode on Emily. I wonder if she would have won more of those arguments that they would have, instead of reverting to sarcastic Lorelai all the time when she's with her parents. I guess that's one of the things. I guess it makes the show too easy if she's manager mode all the time. So we need to see her flaws. Here. Okay.
It's fine.
This whole thing is absurd.
She's your granddaughter.
She's a 16-year-old who would rather be at the mall.
Make sure you show her all around the club, especially the Rose Garden.
I am not a guy.
And make sure you take her to lunch and have her get dessert.
No one said anything about lunch.
Okay, so again, Richard, this goes to show how much Richard loves his wife, because he will go along with what she wants, even if it's the last thing he wants to do. And you can really see him resisting the fact that, because he has this idea of who Rory is as a person and as a 16-year-old, and I guess we're talking about the cliche idea of what a 16-year-old is. And for him, I think he's having flashbacks of Lorelai, because I guess Lorelai didn't really want to hang out with him. Although there was a scene where um where she flashes back. It's not a flashback, but she tells the story about her and her father and them hanging out, and it was such a beautiful um story that she told. I don't know if it was in A Year in the Life or somewhere in the series, but when we get there, I would love to unpack that with you because it really gets to the core of her relationship with her father. And by the way, I forgot to show you earlier in the dining room scene, they actually talked about Lorelai the First, where Lorelai, the grandmother, Richard's mother, where Lorelai was named after, who Lorelai was named after. And the thing is, in that scene, they spoke about her as if she was dead. All right, they were speaking about her in the past tense, and then you will see that she will magically be alive and end up in several episodes of the series, and I honestly love it. Okay, and there are magical characters in this show where uh they play more than one person, and I will show you the instance of where that happens when we get to that episode. It's so funny because you know that she's that she was the other character, and then now she's this character. It's really one of the best things. So okay, here, this is important. I'm gonna show you this part where Emily um asserts herself, and where you can really see her power as who she is as a
So
character.
help me God, you will be sweet to this girl and make this a memorable day for her. This is the first time we've gotten to show our granddaughter off at the club, and it means a great deal to my happiness and yours that this day go well. Are we clear?
All right. So Emily, when she puts her foot down, it's better if you go with it than resist, because she will find a way to make you very, very unhappy. And I believe Richard knows this and knows her power in this dynamic, which is why he just goes along with it. And the thing is, I believe that in Rory, Emily sees a second chance, because since Lorelai got pregnant at 16, they basically lost the dream of the daughter being presented into society, and because they're rich and they have their own culture as people with money, and a part of that is having debuts, and which Rory will also be a part of, by the way. I think it's in this season, and this season or second season, yeah, probably second season, um where she's gonna come out to society. And that is something that Emily really wanted for Lorelai, which never happened, because you will see in that episode there are flashbacks of Lorelai trying on her dress for the debut, and that's when she actually figures out that she's pregnant because the dress doesn't fit anymore. And it's such a wonderful episode. So I really am excited to get to those episodes, because those are where the engine of the show runs like a well-oiled machine. And here it's because Amy Sherman Palladino and the writers are still finding their footing, and I believe that this is why a lot of these first episodes are all character building and cementing relationships between the characters in the show. So Rory, okay, she gives him a hat, and the thing is, Emily slightly racist.
Here we go. Now you look just like Tiger Woods.
Wow, that's some hat.
Okay, off you.
It's a joke. I get it, it's a joke. Because if you notice, the hat has, I don't know, did Tiger Woods ever wear a hat like that? And it's a bit, the colors are a bit Rastafari, red, green, yellow, black, and then I guess because during this time, I guess Tiger Woods was at the height of his game, and they're talking about golf, and that's the easiest pull you can make as a writer, but if you look at it under the lens of today's society, under the lens of today's media, that remark might be seen slightly racist. You know. But I guess it's on brand for Emily. I cannot really say. It's up to you to judge. That's just my impression of this whole scene, because there are many other pro golfers that she could have mentioned instead of Tiger Woods. So let's move forward. Alright, here, I love this. Okay.
Everyone has to go through a thorough screening process.
Kind of like the FBI?
Oh, much more thorough than that.
Wow.
Yes. You know, the merger of Forescape and DSS happened right here on this lawn.
Really?
International finance will never be the same, and all because of a lost golfing bet.
So I love this initial interaction between the two of them, because all Richard knows is business, and because he's a vice president of an insurance company, or big insurance company, and he doesn't really know how to talk to a teenage girl. So the way that he does it is through what he knows, which is business. And the great thing about it is Rory is the type of teenager who is interested in these things. And she is, because she's a reporter and she wants to be a journalist, she has that natural instinct of listening, asking questions, becomes interested in what her subject is talking about. So this is actually the way that they bridge the gap between each other, and the way Richard starts to warm up to her, to the point where when we get further on into this episode, you'll see how they really become close and how they discover a love for things that they have so much in common, especially books and traveling. So, Rory's first attempt at golf.
To wield it properly requires a precise combination of confidence and humility.
Confidence and humility. Got it.
There you are. Well, that's pretty good natural grip. Now, line the toe of your left foot up with the ball. That's right. Now, drop this shoulder a little bit. Now, keeping your left arm firm, draw the club back and swing it cleanly through the ball.
When my father, you know why I love this scene a lot, and I know it could have been shortened and could have been written much, in terms of the show's standards. This scene could have been written in a better light, but the reason why I love this scene so much is because I remember the time that my dad was teaching me how to play golf, and that's the same thing that happened to me. It's like my club went through the grass, and instead of hitting the ball, it chucks grass instead. And it's just that one of those scenes that I really appreciate from the show. It's such a quiet show, and such a quiet way of developing a relationship between a granddaughter and a grandfather. And I just want to show this little bit here because it cements the relationship between Suki and Jackson. So this moves Jackson from just a bit part to a bigger character who becomes a recurring role throughout the series.
No.
Yeah, no, I did. I wrote it down. I got a copy.
Suki, listen.
Yeah, mushrooms, melon, endive, peaches, kiwi.
Excuse me, crazy lady.
Why should I make some kiwi ice cream? That'd be good sometime.
Suki!
What?
Listen, I know you ordered strawberries, but they weren't any good. So instead of selling you substandard strawberries, I brought you blueberries.
So this is what I love about Jackson's character, is that he takes his job so seriously as a farmer and someone who brings produce to places like the inn, that he would rather, instead of putting his reputation on the line and knowing how Suki is with her, if you remember in the previous episode with Suki and the peaches, she is very thorough when it comes to the ingredients she uses because she is the maestro of food, which is why Jackson, instead of selling her substandard strawberries, as he mentioned, he brought blueberries. But of course, since Suki is the maestro, she needs strawberries, and that actually becomes a sticking point between the two of them throughout this episode because she wants to bake strawberry shortcake, and you can't have blueberry shortcake. I mean, there's no such thing as blueberry shortcake, so she's really insistent on the strawberries. Okay, so moving on. Oh yeah, again, here is Lorelai being manager, excellent manager mode, where she solves, because the twins who are getting married, who are also getting married to a pair of twins, are arguing over salad or soup, whether to serve salad or soup, and one of the twins wants soup, another twin wants salad. Lorelai suggests, why don't the guests have a choice of soup and salad, soup or salad? So again, she solves such a small, mundane problem in a practical way. Oh, I love this scene.
Very impressive.
Yes, well, I'm very good at observing people. Learning their tics and traits, the sound of their voices. It's a gift.
That one has a Post-it on its back.
Oh, well, then that's Mark. The one on the right is Matt.
You will go and take that off of him.
I will not. We can't all just call everyone sweetie and get away with it.
Now, go with me here, but let's say Mark walks into a hotel room and he sees his wife naked, but it's not his wife, it's his naked sister-in-law, and he has sex with her. Would that be cheating?
My head hurts.
I think no.
This is the trio. Okay, the three, I believe the three of them are what make the Independence Inn work. And it's so beautiful how they will go from the Independence Inn to Lorelai and Suki finally achieving their dream of putting up their own inn, which is the Dragonfly, and they bring Michelle with them. And this interaction happens a lot between the three of them, and it's such a great, it's almost like they're the guardians of this inn, and they may not always agree with each other, but when they do click, it's so funny. And have you ever thought of that when twins marry twins? If one twin sleeps with the wife of the other twin, is it cheating because they are twins? That's a question that you can answer in the comments down below. It's hilarious. Made me think too when it was first when Suki first suggested that. And Melissa McCarthy, can I just say, is just such a wonderful actress, and she really brought this role to life. You can never see anyone else as Suki but her. So I think we're going back to the golf course with the two of them.
Bummer.
Isn't it? Hi, Richard.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What do you do?
I'm the Executive Vice President of the Gurman Driscoll Insurance Corporation.
Wow.
Yes.
And as executive vice president, what do you do?
Well, it's a very big company, one of the largest in the United States, as a matter of fact. I have a myriad of duties, which would bore you greatly to hear about.
Okay, so note, he's already starting to warm up to her, and the fact that she is asking questions about him is a way to really get into his heart and to get into his ego. And the thing is, notice he's still walking on eggshells a little bit, because he says, oh, it's gonna bore you greatly, and that's kind of his way of putting distance between the two of them. But the great thing about Rory is that she's able to break through that, and I think Richard really appreciated that, because between him and Lorelai, there's already a wall that's built up so high that sometimes, even when they have moments where they connect, something happens where they both pull away, and it's really a sad thing to see between the two of them. That does not really happen between him and Rory, which is why their relationship is so beautiful to watch. and the most odious woman alive. And then here you see Richard finally accept Rory into his life with the invitation to lunch. So they're gonna go and steam. I assume those are the locker rooms and where they get to freshen up and whatnot. And then Richard actually suggests lunch, which is so nice. That's already the part where you can see that he enjoys her company and that he would appreciate being with her more. It's like he could have cut it off there, but he invited her to lunch, which is the opposite of what they did, which was the opposite of what he wanted earlier. Okay, and then so here he starts talking about Rory.
On the golf course with? That is my granddaughter. Really? She's lovely.
Lorelai's girl.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky. My granddaughter looks like she just fell off a potato truck.
My granddaughter would never be caught here. Might get in the way of her time spent at the tattoo parlor, or getting something pierced, or doing whatever she does while she runs wild through the streets like a rabid dog. Cut her off. That'll get her attention.
I can help you with the litigation.
Yeah.
Actually, Rory just started Chilton.
Really? Damn fine.
So here, sorry for the scene with the half-dressed men, but it really shows where he starts to become proud of Rory because they give their own experiences with their granddaughters and how he's like, well, my granddaughter is so much better. You can really see how they, in their world, it's a sticking point where if you can one-up these people who are just as rich as you are, then it's a great way. It's like a win. So it's so nice. And here we go back to the inn and we see Kirk, who is not Kirk yet here. He is in a different job delivering swans. So I really believe that Amy Sherman Palladino really wanted James Gunn to be a part of the series. It's just that she didn't know how to incorporate him until eventually she realized, okay, why don't we make him that one quirky character where he has all the different jobs in Stars Hollow. And I actually don't understand how Kirk survives because if you look at the jobs that he's in, it's all minimum, not even minimum wage, I don't know. So it's kind of that, like, and it's so weird, but it's so much fun to see like which job he has next. So here he is delivering swans to the inn. They don't mention his name here yet because I believe his character is still being developed, but I think it's in episode 4 or 5 where we finally see Kirk as Kirk. Here he's just the guy who's delivering swans. Yes, the lunch between grandfathers.
It's a conspiracy.
Oh, it's Peyton Place. Is there more?
Can you handle it?
Oh, I'll steel myself.
Okay, Mr. Neville likes all things frilly.
Good God, he's my broker.
So, you notice it's like she fills him in on the gossip because when she was steaming, she was with the other women of the club and they were gossiping, and that is really where she got all of this. And it's so funny how Richard enjoys hearing the gossip with her, from her, and we actually see the other men at the club join them. See, they were there at the steam room, and they actually asked to join them for lunch, and Richard actually looks to Rory first if she would want that, and it makes him proud that she actually says yes, and that this is what I love about Rory's character, is that she's very inclusive in a way, because she's very interested. She's not that type of person where she just has to hang out with people her age. It shows a lot of her maturity as a character when you see her be accepting of the people around her and actually become interested in what they have to say and their lives. So I think this is the final thing that absolutely endears her to Richard. And he even mentions to them that she is going to Fez one day, and then one of the guys says, well, what are you going to see there? And he says, well, that's for her to find out. And I find that so sweet, because it's really that point where they absolutely understand each other. It's so nice. So for me, okay, yeah, as you can tell, for me in this episode, there are a lot of warm and fuzzies for me in this episode because of the interaction between Rory and her grandfather. And it makes me remember my interaction with my dad. And I miss him very much. He's since passed, and we're coming up to his 1-year anniversary, and just rewatching this puts a different spin between seeing Rory and her grandfather interact. So it's not just a show anymore, it's that connection that I have with these characters that I enjoy very much. All right, so Lorelai discovering, how Rory's golfing went.
Chocolate cake to make you feel better.
It really wasn't that bad.
You're the sweetest kid in the whole world. Where on earth did you get that from?
Luke, am I mistaken, or did the sign on the door say open?
So, where were we?
Me golfing.
Right, go.
Okay. Well, by the end of the day, I could even hit the ball. Sometimes it wasn't my ball, but the intentions were good.
Well, good intentions and no physical exertion whatsoever is what the game of golf was built on.
Okay, so you can see that Rory is being careful about how she presents the information that she actually had fun with her grandfather. And the thing is, I don't think she realizes this, but you actually see Lorelai become quite defensive about what happened.
No. I think it looks kind of cute.
See, she mentions the hat where she thinks it looks kind of cute, but you can really see in her face that she's starting to get jealous between how much Rory and her grandfather are able to interact with each other and enjoy each other's company, when she and her father could not even have that time with each other and enjoying each other's company the way that they can. So it's kind of that dagger to the heart for Lorelai that I completely understand as well. Okay, Miss Patty makes and then you see her. Okay.
It's for you. Thanks. Hello? Hey, Grandpa. That's great.
See, you actually see Lorelai, if I can just find that portion. You see her facial expression when she watches Rory, where you see almost like the disappointment, where her father actually called the inn just so that he can talk to Rory. And the thing is, how did he know that Rory was at the inn? That's the question. Did Rory leave word that if he was gonna call, she would be at the inn, currently making place cards for the wedding? This scenario is a little too convenient, but they use it as a vehicle for Lorelai's jealousy to continue to build, to the point where when they reach this scene, it all basically blows up in their faces.
I'll get it. I'm calling him and I'm calling him.
Not this one, just a bit more. or they actually start arguing.
Oh, well, that's okay.
It's no big deal, really.
No, it's just gonna get Grandma all freaked out.
Yeah, but I can handle those freakouts. I've done that.
Okay, so here Lorelai suggests that because she went golfing with her grandfather, Lorelai will try to parlay that as Friday night dinner so that they don't have to go to Friday night dinner. And she actually suggests that they go and watch a movie instead. And you can see Rory push back against that because she knows that her grandmother will just get freaked out about it. Emily will just freak out about that, and that she doesn't want that. And at the same time, she actually wants to go to Friday night dinner because there is a book that her grandfather, that Richard promised to give her, that she actually wants to get. So she uses that as a reason to go, and it pushes Lorelai to the breaking point where, she gets all freaked out about it.
It's not too much for a simple, can I borrow it, Mom, is it?
No, it's not. Jeez, lighten up.
It's my favorite sweater, too.
Since when?
Since always.
This is not your favorite sweater.
Yes, it is, and now it's going to be all stretched out, just like everything else you borrow.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about that you take my sweaters and you wear them and you stretch them out.
I couldn't possibly stretch them out. Your boobs are way bigger than mine.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
Your boobs are totally bigger than mine.
You're crazy.
Do you want to measure?
What?
I'm serious. Why don't you go get the measuring tape right now?
I am not going to measure my boobs.
Because you know that you are totally bigger.
So, they go from talking about ditching Friday night dinner where Rory shuts her down, to Lorelai insisting that her daughter's boobs are bigger than hers and that she ends up stretching out her favorite sweater. It's like, it's just because she wants to pick a fight. She's so angry because Rory is having so much fun with her grandfather that she needs to pick a fight with Rory. And it's really, this is the thing about Lorelai, is that she has moments of pure maturity, which is when she's at the end, she's in control. And then when she's not at the end, you can see that she is still almost like that 16-year-old who got pregnant early, and she reverts back to this, where she picks a fight with her own daughter over a sweater when there's really no reason to. And she actually, in the next scene, realizes this with...
What is wrong with me?
You're very possessive of your sweaters. Okay. No, I understand. I'm the same way. If somebody breathes too hard on my paring knife, I'm like a crazy spider monkey.
It's not about the sweater. It's about the golfing thing and the liking it thing. She had fun, Suki, just like my mother said she would.
Yeah.
So to Lorelai, that's really a big deal, and that not only that she had fun, but also because she was starting to get close to her grandfather, and she knows that she made a mistake in lashing out at Rory for that, because she wishes that she has the same relationship with her father that she never really had. Because at that time, Richard was traveling. When she was younger, Richard was always traveling somewhere because of his job, and they couldn't really hang out the way Rory and Richard hang out, and that is a sticking point for her. And this scene is actually an example of a very common device that they use on Gilmore Girls, where it's a walking scene between two characters. There are virtually no cuts, and it's a lot of dialogue. And Lauren Graham, who plays Lorelai, she actually commented on this, where these are the hardest scenes to film because there are no cuts, and if you make a mistake, they have to reset and start over from the beginning, which is why they really are quick to learn their lines and to really memorize their lines. And there are so many. This is a very simple scene actually when you look at it, because there are tons of scenes in the series that are far more complicated and are just shot in one go, and I guess they get better at it as they go along. But yeah, she actually mentions this in her book, Talking Fast, or Learning to Talk Fast, where she talks about her time on the Gilmore Girls and the set and how much she learned about acting and really knowing her lines and sticking to just shooting one scene as best as they can. And here we get to see Suki seeing strawberries and Jackson catching her seeing those strawberries.
You have a strawberry costume?
Unbelievable!
Jackson!
So this is what we've come to? You sneaking around behind my back buying somebody else's strawberries?
I was desperate!
You disgust me.
I needed the strawberries!
Well, now you have them. I hope you're happy together.
Jackson, wait!
No!
Come on, Jackson!
No!
Jackson, we can talk about this! Jackson, get back here!
I love that they're chasing each other around town just because of strawberries, and you will actually see by the end of this episode that Suki caves and makes the blueberry shortcake, and because Jackson throws a tantrum about her buying strawberries from somewhere else. So it's just so fun, you know. There are just these scenes in this series that I appreciate so much. Okay, so here we already get to the point where Lorelai realizes her mistake, and I don't know. I guess this is a day later. I don't know if they weren't speaking at all at home, that this is the first time that they're actually speaking, and they are
Gone now. Good to know. You know, I'm glad you're bonding with your grandparents.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. It's just weird for me is all. I can't relate to it.
You could if you tried.
No, we're too much has happened, and I'm glad you are anyway.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off from them so completely, you know, it just happened. Not having them in my life just felt so right. I just never thought. I'm sorry.
I did not pay $500 for this.
So I love this part because it really shows Lorelai accepting that her daughter would want to be in the lives of her grandparents, and because when she left, when she gave birth to Rory, and I think she left when Rory was 1 or 2 years old. I'm not sure, but we'll see it in another episode. That for her, being away from her parents was what gave her wings. And the fact that Rory wants to go back to that world just to get to know her grandparents is a really big deal for Lorelai, and it still becomes a sore spot for her as we move along into the series, but she at least knows and accepts that maybe Rory would want to be part of her grandparents' lives, and that's a good thing.
You could run around and mess it up. Now you sit and be still.
Okay, this is important. You know, you could actually say that maybe they could have cut this part out, but it's important because it shows, it harkens back to Lorelai's experience with her mother, because she actually says, I have a ton of dresses like this. I used to wear dresses like that, and you know, and it was something that she hated when she was younger, but that she tried to make fun of by twirling around and showing her frilly underwear. So it's kind of, I don't know why, but you know, we see it as something that is funny for the two of them. And then here,
It's used at dessert?
It's not used, it's left over.
Oh, nice. I'll just put it in the kitchen next to my half-empty box of cheer.
okay, so she brings the leftover blueberry shortcake from the wedding, and I don't know if she does this intentionally just to niggle at her mother, But there is a sad part to the ending of this episode that that I want to show you. That shows what's going to happen in the future between Rory, Lorelai, and her parents.
I find that copy of Mencken's Chrestomathy we discussed. I also found a first edition of his memoirs as well.
You're kidding.
It's in my office if you'd like to see them.
Oh my God, I totally would.
I'd like to take a look at those myself.
So if you notice, I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but I find it really sad that it's almost like Emily has found a replacement for Lorelai in Rory. And this happens often, by the way, in the show, and it just hurts my heart because instead of trying to repair their relationship with Lorelai, they are just rebuilding a relationship with Rory, since they see Rory as someone who is more malleable and more open to what they want out of her, or what they want from her, which is to be a part of their lives and to be a part of that society that they live in, where everybody is rich, and they really want to present her as like Lorelai 2.0. And this broke my heart. This did, because they left Lorelai on her own to check out the book. And but my question here also is, why didn't Lorelai stand up and join them? So it's kind of that. It's a bit sad to actually see this. So that is it. That is another Gilmore Girls episode down. Season 1, episode 3. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to creating more of these episodes and going through these episodes as the season progresses. Take a drink. So please give this episode a thumbs up, and I will make some more. I will see you on Tuesday for another one, season 1, episode 4. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Bye!